You've counted every calorie, done endless cardio, and even hit your goal weight. And yet, it's not what you expected. Your arms still jiggle and your love handles still have grip to them. You've realized that although you've lost the weight, you're now just skinny fat. In today's video, we'll uncover exactly where you went wrong that led to this problem and arm you with the 4 pillars you need to go from skinny fat to defined in as little as 12 weeks. But before we get stuck on the fixes, let's answer the big question. What is skinny fat? Skinny fat, or normal weight obesity, describes people who land within the normal BMI range, yet carry a higher than ideal body fat percentage. Because your BMI is just your weight in kilograms divided by your height in meters squared, it's a blunt instrument. It slots you into under, normal, or overweight categories, but tells you nothing about how much muscle you've got or where your fat's hanging out. That means skinny fat people often fly under the radar while facing the same health risks as those who are overweight or in the obese categories. But what actually causes this issue? Well, the common thread in all of those with normal weight obesity is a lack of physical activity, a sedentary lifestyle, and having too little lean body mass. And from a dieting perspective, we can see how this makes sense. Sedentary lifestyles promote muscle atrophy, and harsh dieting, or diets that don't promote certain macronutrients, make it more likely that your body draws from muscle for energy. Combine those two with genetics or hormones favoring fat storage, and you're left at your goal weight and a normal BMI, but with higher body fat percentage and lower levels of lean mass. So what can you do about it? Well, luckily for you, you're not doomed to be skinny fat forever. All you need are the 4 main pillars and 12 patient weeks to build muscle, lose fat, and completely change your body composition. Let's first kick things off with our most non-negotiable pillar, training. You're probably itching to tweak your diet in order to shed the fat, but if your goal is body recomposition and to change your shape, you have to build a foundation. It's been shown that resistance training has a positive effect on your body fat percentage even before touching your diet. So get your program nailed down first and then dial in the calories. I already have a video on my channel breaking down the science of muscle building and practically everything you would ever need to know, but I will break down the essentials here. We'll set up your training plan in 2 steps. First, your split. The ideal exercise split isn't one size fits all and depends mostly on how much time you have to go to the gym and where you can fit the gym into your schedule. For example, if you can only do 3 sessions a week, then doing a full body split 3 days a week makes the most sense for you. If you can do 4 sessions, then upper lower, and if you prefer to do 5 or 6, then a push-pull legs or a variation on upper lower or full body would be the most ideal for you. Your main goal should just be to hit each muscle group 2 to 3 times a week and space your sessions for a specific muscle group around 48 hours apart. Prioritize a sustainable structure that you can repeat for months, not just weeks. Second, programming. Once you know your split, your next questions are probably what exercises should I fill it with, how many exercises should I do, and how many sets or reps are best to do for those exercises. Well, the best exercises to pick for a muscle group are the ones that align best with their natural movement patterns and positions them in a way that we can load the target muscle as best as we possibly can. Without diving too deeply into the biomechanics behind muscle building in this video, here is a quick roadmap that you can follow to pick exercises based on each muscle group's everyday function. Use this chart to pick 1 to 3 exercises for each muscle group, ideally picking one that hits it in the shorten range and one in the lengthen position. Once you have your picks, form your daily workouts by slotting these exercises in. Do 1 to 3 exercises for each muscle group within 1 session and keep your total exercises to around 4 to 6 per session. Start your workouts with more taxing or multi-joint exercises like the squat or the bench press, and order the rest of your exercises by priority of what you want to grow. Do 1 to 3 sets on each exercise at 6 to 8 reps each set, going 1 to 2 reps shy of failure. Aim for 5 to 10 weekly sets per muscle group to start, spaced between 2 to 3 sessions. To make sure you're actually growing on a weekly basis, make sure you're tracking the weight, the reps, and the sets that you're doing for each exercise, and aim to improve on that each time you walk into the gym. I personally use a 6 to 8 rep range to track my progress as easily as possible. First, I'll pick a weight that I can handle for around 6 reps, where I end the set around 1 to 2 reps shy of complete failure. I'll focus on keeping my form solid and keep things like my rest time and exercise order constant week to week. Then, I'll simply let adaptation happen. Eventually, I'll be able to do 7 reps, then 8, without pushing closer to failure or insanely cheating my form. Once I hit 8 reps, I'll increase the weight by around 2.5 or 5 kilos, which should be enough to drop me back down to 6 reps, a 1 to 2 reps shy of failure, and then the cycle repeats. In other words, progressing in the gym is slow and isn't just about forcing out sloppy reps or adding more sets each session. Focus on understanding the form for each exercise and just let your muscles get stronger longer from consistent quality training. Now, I just want to note here that everything I've said on training so far are guidelines, not strict rules. If you consistently feel wiped out, cut back a bit on how many days you train each week, or reduce the number of exercises you do in a given session or the sets you do for each exercise. But if you feel like your progress is ridiculously slow, then add a set here or there and adapt where necessary. The goal really is just balance. Enough volume for you to grow, but not enough for you to burn out. But if you've reached this point and you're about to be sick over how confused you are at programming and setting up your own routine, I have preset plans already on my website that I'll link below for 3-day splits, beginner splits, glute focused splits, and the split that I follow myself, which hopefully will just take the guesswork out of everything. And now that we have our training all dialed in, let's focus on our next pillar, diet. If you've just come from a long period of dieting and your calories are already pretty low, I would personally recommend returning to maintenance for at least a month or so to give your body a little bit of a break before we come back to dieting again. But if you are ready to crack on, here is exactly what you'll do. First, find your current maintenance calories using an online calculator and then deduct anywhere between 300 to 500 calories from that number. For someone that's 150 pounds, this should have you losing around 0.4 to 1 pound each week. Now, that might not sound like a lot, but research suggests that in order to preserve or even grow muscle while in a deficit, your main goal should be to lose around 0.5 to 0.7% of your body weight each week, which for someone that's 150 pounds roughly equates to around 0.75 to 1 pound each week. It's much better to move slowly into a body that you can actually sustain in the long term rather than just crash diet and end up in the same skinny fat rut that you started from. As the weeks go on, you will probably also realize that you don't drop weight like you did initially. This is simply because as you lose weight, your body weighs less and then in turn needs less calories and burns fewer calories at rest. So while a 500 calorie deficit might lead to around a pound of fat loss each week in the beginning, that rate will slow down as your maintenance needs drop. To keep losing weight at the same pace, you'll simply just need to reduce your calorie intake a little bit further to stay in your deficit. Usually cutting around 200 to 300 calories will do the trick, or increasing your activity levels, which we will cover in a minute. Now, I say all of this to say tracking your progress using just a weight scale here is very tricky and is not something I actually recommend. The scale might not actually move in the direction that you're wanting it to, but it doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong. If you calculated your maintenance calories correctly, are logging everything you're eating accurately, and are staying below your deficit, then you absolutely will be losing fat. Another important facet of dieting that we need to consider here isn't just the calories you consume themselves, but the foods that make up those calories. While it's true there's not a strict best diet that you need to follow in order to lose weight, so long as it puts you in a calorie deficit, you do need to focus on eating relatively high protein in order to build muscle. A high protein diet of around 0.7 to 1 gram per pound of body weight seems to prevent muscle loss and even build muscle during a deficit, as well as being very satiating and having a higher thermic effect on the body, leading to better recomposition results in the long run. Prioritizing single ingredient or whole foods that are high in protein, fiber, and healthy fats can help you get satisfied from your meals and stay fuller for longer. But ultimately, it's simply just sticking to your deficit and eating enough protein to build muscle that counts the most. Although not strictly a diet, I'm gonna lump cardio into this pillar too because it's a very handy tool for you when you're trying to lose fat. Now, you definitely don't need cardio to build muscle or burn fat. Your training, protein, and calories will do that all by themselves. But adding in some steady movement on a daily basis can make hitting your deficit feel much less brutal. For example, say you're 130 pounds and you're aiming for a 300 calorie deficit. Instead of taking any calories from your food, you could simply walk your way there by doing 10,000 steps on a daily basis. This can be a totally doable target for some people and allows you to enjoy your meals at the same time. Picking low impact forms of cardio such as cycling or walking shouldn't impact your recovery but will boost heart health, help you bounce back quicker, and improve your lifts in the gym. A great goal is to build up to around 150 to 200 minutes of moderate cardio each week, which is roughly 20 to 30 minutes a day, 5 to 7 days a week. Enough to nudge your calorie burn without turning you into a walking zombie. After having your training and diet completely dialed in, you will be well on your way to achieving your aesthetic goals. So our next pillar is to track our progress and make sure that we're consistently going in the right direction and adjust where necessary. Now, as I said before, finding one specific method to track your progress here is very tricky. Because we're building muscle as well as losing fat, it's very common for the number on the scale to stay put or even increase during this time. But it doesn't necessarily mean that you're doing anything wrong. Like your BMI, the scale doesn't accurately reflect your body composition. It simply shows how much you weigh in one space and time when you step on that scale. So you could be losing fat and gaining muscle, but the scale won't tell you that. This is why I recommend coupling the scale just to see a consistent trend trend with other methods such as tracking your strength in the gym, taking front, side and back progress photos on a weekly basis to give you something tangible to look back on and compare, checking your waist, thighs and arms every 2 to 4 weeks using a tape measure, with a shrinking waist or firmer arms being rock solid proof you're losing fat and gaining muscle. Also, your trusty jeans or even your favorite t-shirt will reveal fit changes. If your waistband gets looser or sleeves get tighter around your new biceps, you're making gains. Now, none of what I said really matters if you can't follow our fourth pillar, consistency. This might mean sticking to your 1 workout a week for some or 5 for others. The real effect lies in showing up when you're meant to, not just when you feel like it. On low motivation days, just promise yourself you'll do 1 exercise and then say that you can leave after that. Usually it's just the getting to the gym that's the hardest part, and once you're there, you will stay and finish your workout. But even if you don't, you're still 1 step closer than you would be if you skipped altogether. Short breaks, of course, won't derail you if you really need them, or you're going on holiday with your family, as long as you stay consistent more often than you're not. If you do put in the effort consistently, you should start to see very noticeable gains in your body composition within 12 weeks. But that is all I have for you guys today. Please let me know down below if you found this video helpful, and don't forget to subscribe while you're down there and join as Pookies. But hopefully I will catch you guys in my next one.